This episode is brought to you by the Regional Air Quality Council. This summer, go wild for front-range air quality. Turn off your car instead of idling the engine in parking lots and pickup lines to help reduce ground-level ozone. Did you know that idling your car for just 1 minute creates about 150 balloons worth of air pollution? Learn more ways to help improve air quality in the Colorado Front Range at simplestepsbetterair.org. And you can sign up for summer ozone text alerts to know when it matters most by sending Better Air CO to 21000. Today on CityCast Denver. Are Denverites changing the way they think about Israel and the war on Gaza? Images of starving Palestinians have been everywhere online the last couple of weeks, and they're having an effect. Plus, the identities behind social media activist account Do Better Denver were finally revealed in a new investigation by the Denver Post. But did their names even matter? Me and producer Paul Caroli dig into these stories and more news of the week. Today is Tuesday, August 5th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Hi, Paul.
Hey, good morning, Bree.
Good morning. So we have a few stories that have come together around the war on Gaza and this conversation here in Colorado. Is it shifting? There was this announcement from the Center on Colfax, which was really interesting, from their new executive director, Kim Salvaggio. She sent an email last week regarding funding. Paul, what did she say?
I just think this was a huge surprise. I mean, I'll give you the quotes here, but I think this was such a huge shock to me. I mean, the Center on Colfax has been in the news. People have probably followed it on the show. We've talked about it a lot all year, last year or so, around the funding cuts, the worries about funding cuts for some of their activities and programs that support the LGBTQ plus community. Ever since Trump took office, there's been worries and like actual realities of this organization losing funding because these big companies don't want to be spending to support, activities like this, over, worries about DEI, I guess, from conservatives. So that's what this is all a part of. And that's what I thought this headline was going to be, but then not at all. Not at all is the reality. According to CPR, which reported on this statement, the reason why the Center on Colfax is no longer going to be taking money from Chevron, the big oil and gas company, is because, according to this statement, over the past year, I'm quoting, "We have heard clearly from voices across our movement, advocates, members, and partners who have expressed concern about Chevron's involvement in global systems of harm, including the production of materials used in weapons contributing to violence and genocide."
Wow.
And it goes on to talk about Israel and Gaza and the attack on Gaza, and specifically what seems to have been the thing in the news the last couple of weeks is all these images and stories of famine and destitution that has apparently become quite acute inside this small coastal enclave.
Yeah. It's been really rough to watch. I think anybody that's logged on to any social media will have seen what you're talking about. But this is interesting because of this, like you said, this bigger conversation that organizations like the Center are having about funding in general. So for them to step out and push back in a moment when some might say they need this funding more than ever, it was really interesting. And again, this is a new new leadership for the Center. So.
Yeah, the Center was run for a long time by Rex Fuller, and
Yes.
now this new person, Kim Salvaggio, clearly has some different ideas about how to run this place, what people are wanting out of the Center on Colfax. Fascinating indicator of how the conversation on Gaza locally is changing.
Yes, I'll be interested to see in the coming weeks and months if any other organizations make decisions like this, because it could shape up to be an interesting landscape for nonprofits in particular. So we had a listener write in with a question related to our Democratic senators who voted with Republicans recently on an issue related to this very thing. Can I read her question really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Susan M. writes, "Can we talk about how both our senators voted no to Bernie's bill against the latest weapons sale to Israel, while more Democrats joined in to support it? What's up with that?" So, Paul, what's up with that?
What's up with that? Good question, Susan M. Boy, I mean, what's up with that? Well, I mean, there's a few things. One, Bernie, we know, has been increasingly hot on this. He's been trying for the past year and a half or so. He's been introducing these bills. We heard him talk about this with the rally earlier this year in Denver. He was like, or later this year, I'm going to introduce a bill to stop weapon sales to Israel. And it got a huge pop in Civic Center, which I thought was very interesting. And an indicator of where like progressive Democrats who might show up to a Bernie rally are.
Yeah.
And then the other side, of course, is Bennett and Hickenlooper, the two senators from Colorado. Bennett, of course, running for governor. Hickenlooper, once mayor of Denver, once governor of Colorado. These are like, you might say establishment types.
Going to say absolutely
real
establishment.
Entrenched leaders, very popular. Both have won popular elections. And I think they're still in the old school way of thinking on Israel, at least on the left. I mean, the Democratic Party has been divided increasingly so. I've talked about this. There's a generational divide where younger people on the left seem to be a little bit more sympathetic to the Palestinians and the Palestinian struggle, having seen the last 15 years of Israeli assaults on Gaza. Whereas older folks, like people from like Hickenlooper and Bennett's generations, would be a little bit more familiar with like the 67 and 73 wars, and they might be more sympathetic to the Israeli side of things. So clearly that's changing, because that's the other interesting thing about this Bernie bill is like this was a high watermark for the progressives on the left who are a little more sympathetic to the Palestinians. More Senate Democrats voted for this bill than have ever voted for anything like this before.
Wow.
A majority of the Democratic caucus in the Senate voted for this thing to stop this arms sale, which is fascinating. This has been a consensus under Chuck Schumer's Democrats for so long in the Senate. I mean, you might talk about the Israel lobby, you might talk about this generational divide, but whatever it is, it's changing, except for Colorado senators Bennett and Hickenlooper, apparently.
So you kind of mentioned this, but Bennett is running for governor. How could this vote, or at least this position that they're taking, maybe impact the races next year?
Hey, I don't know. I want to know. What do you think? I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, I think, I guess I'm just interested to see how it plays out. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know anybody that's hot on Bennett or Hickenlooper on the progressive left, period. So I think it's kind of all about other candidates at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly know people who are psyched about those guys. I don't think Israel's going to be the number one issue. I mean, that's traditionally how it is. Like there's these moments. I mean, this particular last couple of years, ever since October 7th and this Hamas attack and taking all these hostages, and then this Israeli response that has been so much bigger than it has been in the last 15 years and so much more deadly. This is a much more significant turning point, inflection point in the trends that we had been seeing. But it's still, I don't know if people are actually going to vote on this. And that is going to be interesting to see. I mean, we've talked about this before. Is there going to be some elected official that takes a stand that says, I want to be the person, send me to Congress so I can be the one that changes this vote on resolutions like this one that start pushing the tide the other direction. Like I haven't heard that, or I hadn't heard that from anyone running for office here in Colorado actually until last week.
So, sorry, until last week, what did you hear? Or this, are you talking about this in particular?
This same issue. Like, well, I happened to have a coffee with somebody who was running for Congress, someone who's running against Diana DeGette. I mean, Diana DeGette, who's been one of the most, established Democratic leaders in Congress. She's been there for 30 years. Denverites have been electing her back to Congress. And she's very much in this traditional mold of like a friend of Israel, standing with Israel, a reliable vote on increasing arms sales to Israel, which has been very common. But I met with this person who's challenging her, a young woman named Milat Kiros, and she has no political experience. Like many of the challengers to get in the last few years, I don't know if she's got like a great chance, but if she does, it might be on this issue, because the thing that she is known for, to the extent that she's known, is she took a stand on this. She got fired from her law firm like a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
Because she wrote a blog post that was very critical of Israel. And the attack on Gaza, and she got fired. And then she wrote this blog post that was responding to the firing that also got a lot of attention, where she was like, it's not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. And I thought that was very interesting because that's another question that's really got Denverites divided right now. I keep hearing from people who are having that argument, like, is it anti-Semitic to criticize Israel in this moment?
Well, I want to get more to the anti-Semitism conversation in a minute, but again, these races we're talking about aren't until next November, right? Like, how much time do we have?
The Democratic primaries next year is going to be an important moment.
Okay.
For this question, since the Republicans are all in lockstep over this, but the Democrats is where there might be progress for if for the Palestinian solidarity folks is, can you get one of these more progressive voices to challenge an establishment Democrat and maybe win one of those primaries? And those are in June of next year.
Okay, so we still have quite a bit of time. I'm just thinking about how fast things change, but also we have this good amount of time to see what happens in those next, 10 months. Well, we'll be watching this conversation, obviously, as a community, but also as we look into the races into next year. I'm also thinking about, you had mentioned that you don't think that this would be a defining issue for elections next year. What do you think is the defining issue here in Colorado?
Cost of living, as usual, economics, pocketbook issues, price of a dozen eggs.
Interesting.
I think that continues to be the number one thing, and that's what people are going to be voting on. I mean, that's what I keep hearing from people. Stuff's too expensive these days. Rent's too expensive. Groceries too expensive.
Yeah.
Who knows depending on what happens over on the other side in Gaza, in Israel, but anything could happen there. It could change the conversation here again. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things develop.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a long time, but also not that much time. So we'll see. This episode is brought to you by MultiPass. Founded by event hosts for event hosts. Sell tickets and memberships, plus find local events with MultiPass. Proudly based in Denver and deeply rooted in the local event and creative scene, MultiPass isn't your run-of-the-mill ticketing platform. It actually provides space to build community around cool events happening in the city. When you buy tickets through MultiPass, it unlocks a chat feature that allows folks to connect directly with other people going to that event. Friendships could be made through MultiPass. I mean, how many other ticketing platforms could say that? Plus, it gives event producers the ability to build loyalty with their audience through membership management tools built right into the platform. I'm volunteering at a music festival coming up soon, and I'm going to talk to them and see if they're using MultiPass or not, because it's like the perfect DIY level thing that I, again, as a former events producer, would love to have had access to. So, see if I can introduce this. MultiPass is designed to help everyone in the event ecosystem win, not just the platform. Learn more at multipass.com. That's multipass.com. This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. Getting out of bed on a cozy morning is already hard enough, especially when my husband is still asleep and he looks so peaceful. But pair that with the most comfortable sheets from Cozy Earth, and it's nearly impossible for me to get out of bed, let alone wake this guy up. Because these sheets are life-changing. They're temperature regulating and guaranteed to give you a comfortable night's sleep. Made from viscose from bamboo, they naturally wick away heat and moisture from your body, helping you sleep several degrees cooler, which is important when you're like me and your partner is a literal furnace at night. This tiny 4-year-old man sleeps sideways. So it's me, my furnace of a husband, Greg, and then our child that sleeps sideways. And sweaty. Why are toddlers so sweaty? And he flings his arms around. I'm like, what is he dreaming about? After sleeping on these sheets for a couple months, there's really no going back for me. But Cozy Earth offers a 100-night sleep trial, meaning you can try them out, and if you don't love them, return them hassle-free. But trust me, I don't think you're going to want to. And they have a 10-year warranty, because once you feel this level of comfort, you're going to want it to last a decade. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code CozyDenver for 40% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on CityCast Denver. Because your bed should be more than a place to sleep. It should be your happy place. Cozy Earth makes that possible. Well, now we have an update on a story we've been following. So,
yeah, tell us what's new.
Sure. So last Friday we talked about this, but at the end of last week, there was this looming conversation online that the folks behind the social media accounts Do Better Denver were going to be exposed, that their names were going to be revealed. Because so far, this account over the last 2-ish years has been anonymous. And again, this is an account that takes photographs of folks, often unhoused, often in crisis, sometimes folks who are using drugs. It takes photos and videos of them, posts them on the internet. It's sort of, I don't know how to describe this, like carrying on a narrative or a perspective in Colorado that we have a crime, we're in the midst of a crime problem. And so there was just this.
They also talk about how much they hate the mayor.
Oh, right.
And
They
how
also,
the mayor's bad and wrong.
right. And they
They
hate
do
the mayor.
that a lot too. Yeah.
And they made fun of the mayor's wife's appearance and what she looked like. I mean, they do a lot of things on that account. Also, I would say some folks have said they are spreading misinformation too when it comes to actual crimes and things that have later been reported on. It's not necessarily what had happened. So it's a much bigger account than just posting photos of unhoused folks. But the conversation last week was, are we going to know who these people are? And on Friday, Shelley Bradbury, a reporter at the Denver Post, published a story revealing the identities of the 3 women that they connected to the Do Better at Denver account. And the Denver Post did so by looking into Cora requests made on behalf of this account, of Colorado Open Records requests. And they revealed these 3 women.
Which I have to say, that's very clever. I had heard that the Do Better Denver people were getting some of their information by doing Cora requests, which are Freedom of Information Act requests. All public government emails and stuff, that's all public. But you have to make these requests, and then they'll tell you how much it would cost to get you the information, and then you get to decide if you actually want it that bad or not. So what the Denver Post did was they Cora'd the Coras, which
they
is
made requests for the requests.
wonderful. Yes, so good.
Which I would have never honestly thought, I'd never thought about utilizing that service in this way as a reporter.
Mm-hmm. So what else grabbed you from this article that Shelley wrote?
Well, the 3 women that were identified, one, Jill Osa, is a mother in Arizona. She doesn't live here. Another was Alexander Pacheco, a former Colorado Coalition for the Homeless employee who now lives in New Mexico. And Megan Anderson, a local public school teacher. So these were the 3 folks that they could identify through the Cora requests. This is a count that claims it's crowdsourced citizen journalism. So there may obviously be other people involved, but these were the 3. And I don't know. I thought that was an interesting group of folks. One person that doesn't live here, someone that worked directly with the unhoused population, and a school teacher. Maybe I was a little surprised that these were.
Well, yeah. What was surprising?
I don't know. I guess I would assume that some of these folks had more empathy for the populations that are routinely featured on this account. But I mean, I can't make assumptions about who they are or how they feel or what they believe. But it was surprising to me that a former employee of a homeless shelter was active in that. And it kind of bummed me out. But, that
actually grabbed me too. And I would love to talk about that because there was a line from the person who runs the coalition. And I want to.
From Kathy Alderman, is that?
Yeah. Well, she's the spokesperson, but yeah.
Yeah, she does.
She said, yeah. So, and this is something that resonated with me because a few years ago, I spent, every Sunday for 3 or 4 years, I was going down to the St. Francis Center to volunteer, help out. And I just felt this as soon as I read the quote from Kathy Alderman. She said, "I've certainly known people who have worked in the homeless response space who get so crisis fatigued and so frustrated, both with the system and sometimes with the people the system is helping, that they become completely disillusioned."
What resonated with you about that?
Oh, I watched it happen. Because you see it. You build up a callus. When you're there every day, maybe you went there for good reasons, or maybe you went there just because it was a job. You wanted to help, but also you wanted your own paycheck because it is a job. It's not like they can rely on volunteers at these places.
Yeah.
And you're going there every day, and it's people who are like, sometimes people are having a bad day. And when it's a shelter, at least a day shelter like the St. Francis Center, where there's like hundreds of people in there, someone's going to be having a bad day every day. So there's always a crisis going on. There's always some horrible mess to clean up. It's like these people need a lot of help. That's the reality of this situation. And if you're dealing with that all the time, you do sort of have to think about, you can't react with that kind of like, the empathy that you'd like to every single moment. It builds up and it weighs on you. This is part of the reason why I stopped doing it, because you start to see yourself developing this callous and maybe not responding the way you want to. And I personally, I had to stop. So I had a lot of empathy for that in that quote. I mean, I didn't respond the same way as the person who
Yeah.
contributed to Do Better Denver. She's made a very different choice.
Yeah. And again, this is personal perspective, but I don't have the experience that you have, Paul. I guess my surprise was that anger went towards the people in the crisis and not the system that is maybe not equipped to handle the people in the crisis.
Well, that is what they always say is Do Better Denver. That is what the posts are about. It's not like they're angry at the people in the videos. They're always saying like, hey, Mayor Johnston, how could you let the city get so bad? You know, that's the tone.
Yeah.
But so it is, they do say that they're mad at the system. They do say they want change to the system. They don't typically, I mean, they're not like respectful to the people in the videos.
That's what I was going to say that was something interesting out of Shelley's reporting too, was talking to family members and a woman, I think, who was featured on this and how it impacted her life.
What a gut punch that was.
That people were recognizing
God.
her at the grocery store with her children after she had been featured on this account that essentially shames folks who are, again, not in the best moments of their life. And I cannot claim to be anywhere close to where these folks that are being featured are on here, but I can't imagine what it would feel like if someone had a camera in my face in the worst moments of my life as an alcoholic, and then that impacted how people saw me because they saw it on social media. It's really rough. It's really rough.
Yeah, I mean, and the quotes from that person's family of like, this really set us off as a family into like something of a reckoning. We had to deal with this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It just sounded horrible.
Well,
very exposed feeling.
And I think also too, it's like a lot of times there's this, like, when you look at someone who's in crisis like that on the street, there's an assumption like they don't have family or nobody cares. And I think so often that's not the case at all. It's that they don't have the resources to help that family member, or that family member has burned through those relationships and they can't do anything anymore. But it doesn't mean that your family is not still struggling with what you're struggling with. And I think that this highlighted it's not that simple. People's experiences in the world affect everyone around them. And yeah, like this family saying, like, cousins and aunts and uncles and just neighbors and everybody all of a sudden was looking at this person. And it was just rough. But so we talked about it on Friday in advance of this.
I'm sorry. I'm just kind of, that's taking me back to some time at the St. Francis Center. I'm just kind of feeling it all over again.
Yeah.
Just seeing people like sitting at the phone, like making call after call for help of people in their family or like people that they knew. And like,
I'm sorry, Paul. It's really hard to watch.
I mean, it's not my pain.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't feel it for somebody else, you know? I mean, again, I haven't been exactly where these folks have been, but when my family member was actively in the throes of addiction to heroin, they were able to look at me and say, I'd rather be under a bridge doing drugs right now than dealing with this situation. So it's a hard place to be. But I'm sorry you're experiencing that. I do want to share. This isn't like lighter or anything, but we did talk about this on Friday with our guest Deep in anticipation of this story coming out. And there was a tweet from someone who goes by Denver Fail, Mr. Osaza. Quote, Paul from CityCast is asking if Do Better Denver is a paid provocateur. Amazing projection from a possibly Soros-funded media company. Paul, your response?
Number one, put that on my business card. Possibly Soros funded.
Done.
Don't let this person know that my family is Hungarian, just like Soros. Oh, shit. What's the connection? Oh, my God.
Oh, no. The conspiracy theory has been officially set off.
Yeah. But no, I mean, that wasn't the point I was making. Classic Do Better Denver baloney. That's inaccurate. I was saying one of the reasons why it is in the public interest to know these people's identity, to justify the investigation and to unveil their names, is that it's possible that they could be, a Republican political operative. It could be paid for by somebody.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about the libs of TikTok effect.
It's like, a public figure.
Will this make them bigger? And they did.
Did it? We should check on the numbers.
I was going to say, I think take a look and see, did their influence grow since the publication of this story on Friday? Because we've been tracking their follower counts.
Well, it really started last Monday or like 2 Fridays ago when they started saying like, hey, there's an article coming. Because that's when they started making hay out of it, the Do Better Denver people.
I thought that was
And
interesting.
at that point, they were at 121,000 on Instagram. And it looks like it's actually not up that much. It's only at 122,000 right now. So that didn't grow so much. Let me check over on Twitter.com, formerly Twitter.com, currently X. Do Better Denver is my number 1 suggested search. So proud.
We know what you've been up to.
Okay, here they've grown quite a bit. I think, so they're up at 25,000 followers now. And I'm pretty sure they were at 22,000 2 Fridays ago.
So, hey, they got a couple thousand out of this.
Although just on Twitter is interesting because that makes me think, because that's where they were doing a lot of the like Spartacus stuff, the like I am Do Better Denver. A lot of the people started grasping hold of it.
Yes.
Which actually leads me back to the main point I had about the article itself was like hearing about the people who contributed to this. One, not surprised at all who it is. Of course, there's disgruntled people who are like maybe not so connected to the city of Denver anymore. Yeah, of course, that's who it is. But 2, as soon as I read their names, I didn't care about their names anymore. It didn't matter to me. It wasn't a paid political operative. And so I know it doesn't matter anymore.
There was
and
nothing
now I'm back to my
there.
initial point of this is a political movement. This is powerful as a symbol, not as people. This is not, there's no candidate coming out of the Do Better Denver movement. There is just this symbol that people are going to either associate with or not. And that's going to say something about themselves if to who they want to be their followers or to associate with.
Maybe we could see someone come out of it, we don't
Maybe.
know. I mean, Heidi Ganahl's former gubernatorial candidate, her publication, right? The Colorado Voice. I forget,
The Rocky Mountain Voice.
They did the I am Do Better Denver. So there's definitely folks watching and interacting with that are either politically motivated, but again, we've got some time here before elections. We could see someone come out as the Do Better Denver candidate. I don't know how that would fare in Denver, but...
No, I think if you're running for the mayor of Castle Rock or perhaps like the Douglas County Commission,
Doug for sure,
you might be Do Better Denver.
You could say, I'm aligned with this movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you in that, like, I read those names and then I was like, huh, okay. It's people.
Yeah, who cares?
Kind of.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It wasn't it wasn't like some big name that we know, like, oh my gosh, they're connected to this. So, well, the count's still going. So they seem to be fine.
This episode is brought to you by GMC. GMC certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands and participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit gmc.com/service to learn more.
I know every operating
At my
system like
last
the
job,
back of my
my current
hand.
role,
When
I
it comes to
25 years of experience and have worked with several people from your company. I've been recognized for my passion. My team is everything.
LinkedIn delivers candidates who rise above the rest. With an up-to-date view into shared connections, skills, and interests you won't find anywhere else. See why 86% of small businesses who post a job on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within a day. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/achieve. LinkedIn, your next great hire is here.
Okay, it's Tuesday, and this is when we hear from you, our brilliant and hilarious listeners, about the things you care about. When you have questions, comments, response to our shows, we love to hear from you. Paul, what have we got?
Okay, so this is a response to the episode we ran last week about toxic Colorado traits. You and comedian Kate McLaughlin and our favorite contributor, Justine Sandoval. So this is Ashley D, originally from El Paso, writes, "Hello, Toxic Trait Hotline. One thing I did not hear on the show today was feeling superior that we can outdrink anyone on vacation outside of Colorado because we're used to drinking at altitude and our blood is thicker, losers."
Oh,
haha. I'm not from Colorado, originally moved here 10 years ago, but can definitely outdrink even the most toxic alcoholics.
Yes, absolutely. Again, don't drink anymore. But when I did, I definitely remember going to Chicago and being like, watch me outdrink this entire bar. And I maybe drank too much anyway, but that's a good point.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing. It's fun.
It's
It's fun.
It is a little hubris we have about, because also the other thing too is like, I always notice this with performers in particular, because I see so many live shows as they complain about the altitude impacting their ability to perform.
What a cliche. Someone needs to tell these bands at the airport, hey, don't make this joke. We've all heard it a million times.
Well, it's like an excuse almost. Like I remember CeeLo had to like leave the stage because he was like so exhausted. But
Oh, really?
oh yeah.
Damn.
But the Nuggets always use this. We talk about this to their advantage, which I love, and they rub it in people's faces. They have a whole graphic that comes up on the screen when they're like, good luck, we're at 5,280 feet. And I do love the hubris of the altitude and what it does for us. If you have thoughts or feedback about anything we've said on the show over the last 4.5 years, give us a call, 720-500-5418. Again, the CityCast Denver hotline is always open, and we listen to those voicemails. You can also text us, 720-500-5418. Well, Paul, thanks.
See you next time.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why don't you take a minute to tell Jill Osa, Alexandra Pacheco, and Megan Anderson about us. Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. And remember, you can support this show right now and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later.